Hello everybody, Logan here with another video. So I actually meant to get this one and the next video out on Halloween, but A, I ran out of time, and B, I kind of burnt myself out on recording videos. I mean, you guys saw all those videos for Halloween. Yeah, I filmed all of those on the same day, back to back. So, as you can imagine, I was a little tired of filming videos and my throat was sore. Now, there was actually going to be a third video to go in here, which would have been, IAC predictions for next year at Spirit. Unfortunately, the whole IAC got leaked. So now we all know what it is, which is an absolute bummer, and it does actually upset me greatly because, for one, it was like November 2nd when that leaked, 2nd or 3rd. Like, y'all didn't even give anyone a chance to just theorize or have a little fun. Like that right there tore the fun out of a lot of people, which not really happy with the individuals who decided to plaster that everywhere, because now it's like it's unavoidable, it's in everyone's faces, you're bound to see it somewhere, which I just think is really shitty. Again, it's like it's so early and you're already leaking the ISE for brownie points, basically. Not a huge fan of that whole thing. So I basically had to scratch off that video and we'll push it back to next year, which I know sucks quite a bit because doing the ISE theorizing is like my favorite thing in the world, but unfortunately that joy got taken away from both me and a whole lot of other people within the community. So instead, we're going to stick with these two videos, which are Fraser Hill themed. That's right, Fraser Hill Farm, also known as Haunted Hill Farm during the Halloween season, recently has stepped up their game and has been bringing us some returning animatronics, both from Tekky and from Seasonal Visions, which I thought was really awesome for them to do. So I want to do this in two different parts. I want to do this one Tekky edition and then the next one SVI edition, just, you know, for a little bit of fun and to kind of space these videos out a little bit, because I have to talk quite a bit and it does hurt after so long. So I am doing 5 props that I, really think should return, and then I'm going to do 3 honorable mentions before we hit the #1 spot. Sound familiar? Yeah, it's WatchMojo's little style. I love WatchMojo.com, by the way. Huge shout out to them. They're really entertaining. So I have some modern characters because they are grabbing both modern and older props. So I kind of mixed it up a little bit. So in the #5 spot, we do have a fairly modern character, which is the Flaming Scarecrow from Home Depot. This is the brown version, the first one, the classic one, that I honestly would love to see Fraser Hill pick up. For one, it was a very well-received animatronic the first go-round, and I do think it would sell very well when it comes back. The one that came after that, I think it was Inferno Scarecrow was his name, was not as well-received. A lot of people were really calling for the original brown one. So I think it would be very smart of them to bring back this original version. I don't remember the exact year for pretty much almost everything. I am so sorry, I'm terrible with my years. But I know this one's pretty modern. I think it was 2019 or 2020. I think it was 2019 that we saw this. And again, it was not only really popular, but it sparked a whole new line of scarecrows from Home Depot. As we got Flaming Scarecrow, then we got Inferno Scarecrow, and then we got then we got Faceless Scarecrow, and now we have the Swamp Scarecrow. Though I keep wanting to call it Flaming. Faceless and Swamp Scarecrow are a little different, as instead of having a single swooping arm, both of their arms snap forward at you. I do wholeheartedly believe that they were inspired by this prop. And I really think it'd be smart for Fraser Hill to pick up some of those scarecrows, like this one, Swamp Scarecrow, once it also, goes out of stock, because that's another highly favored one. And the #4 spot, I have Levitator Girl from Spirit Halloween. So Levitator Girl is a part of the little Morgue series that Tekky's kind of done with her and then the couple of John Does that we've seen. And I honestly think that this one was the best Morgue character that they've done. For one, it is a little more realistic with how they styled her with, you know, the sheet kind of exposing the face and the feet. So it looks like she is just getting ready to be autopsied or had just been autopsied. I also think that the sculpt is still like perfect on her. We have seen it come back a couple of times, but I think she still has like the coolest corpse sculpt that Tekky has ever done. And I do still think it looks the best on her. Not only that, she was the first Tekky animatronic to introduce a scissor mechanism. That's right. Everyone says it was Mr. Dark. It was not Mr. Dark. This one was Levitator Girl, in terms with Tekky, where she does have a scissor mech that lifts her up. Now, granted, it is plastic and, you know, it's not as crazy as Mr. Dark or Hellspawn or Emmeline, but this was the first time we saw a scissor mechanism. I do think that we can get some significant upgrades, maybe, again, a metal scissor mech to give her a little more longevity. I do believe this one had a little bit of stability issues, if I remember correctly. It's been so long, but I think, you know, that can be solved very easily. I think they could also kind of tweak the shaking mechanism more too, because it really wasn't the most, like, noticeable in person. I really didn't even notice it when I saw her in person all those years ago. So I think that Tekky could definitely improve on that as well. I think that's really it. Her audio was perfect. It really didn't need to be anything crazy. It's just a bunch of creepy, like, background sound effects, which, you know, I don't know, I was a fan of. So in the number 3 spot, we are jumping back old school style. We are looking at the Jumping Skull, which was also sold at Spirit Halloween. There's actually quite a few Spirit characters in here, and there's the reason why. So Jumping Skull was another one of the cemetery jump scare characters, and in my opinion, was probably one of the best. Though the audio still, you know, is up for debate. I do think the audio does not make sense, but I think the overall look of this skull is super cool. It's super clean looking. I love how it's all taken over by cobwebs. The like actual jump I do think was faster than Resurrection Mary's. Some of it has to do with the fact that it's not as, I don't want to call Resurrection Mary bulky, but it didn't have as much going on. Like, it didn't have a head turning mech. It didn't need a lot of the excess weight that Resurrection Mary required to function properly. I do think that if this were to return, it would be a very well seller, both amongst Spirit Halloween collectors and the general public as well, just like Flaming Scarecrow. It appeals to a very popular theme, which is a cemetery, and I think that is something to absolutely stick with. Seeing as, you know, what it is and what it does, I do think it'd be a really good budget piece, like Resurrection Mary. She was also very fairly priced. So I would really like to see Jumping Skull return. Also, it is one of my favorite jumping animatronics from Tekky, if not just my favorite. I think it's really cool. In the number 2 spot, this is a very highly favored animatronic from Spirit fans, Morning Gory. Yes, so Morning Gory is one that I do remember seeing in person as well, and do have very fond memories of looking back at her. I think the actual design was really cool for its time. We also really don't see a lot of Grave Mourner characters, which I feel, you know, should be pushed out a little more, especially with cemetery displays. Now, it was honestly between her and Grave Mourner, but I you know, decided on Morning Gory because I think she has a cooler looking design with her mouth being just ripped away. I like the gimmick, though it does not work on little kids. It's been like everyone's number one complaint. Yeah, I agree, but I still think it looks stellar and awesome. It'd also be nice to see this one modernized a bit more and given, like, you know, an actual modern build, because this was, you know, from Grand Talent era. So if I remember correctly, she does have like a wooden base. I'm pretty sure she does. correct me if I'm wrong, but I do remember Morning Glory having a wooden base, and I do know that old, like, those wooden bases don't last. You know, they rot, you know, from like moisture and stuff. So I would love to see this one come back. And again, the quality upgrades could definitely happen. They could do some cosmetic changes, especially with that umbrella. The prototype one had like a ripped up umbrella, so it looked worn and distressed, and I think they could absolutely do that, because on the previous ones it's very clean, and I think it does, you know, stick out a little too much. But if they had it all decayed and weathered like the prototype, I do think it would look phenomenal. I don't know if this was a faulty animatronic. I don't really remember it being too terrible, but I mean, it easily could have been. I just don't remember. Again, it's so long ago, I don't have like all of the memories that I used to of this animatronic. But I could definitely see some major quality upgrades, cosmetic upgrades, even costuming upgrades from this exact animatronic. So I would be very happy to see this return through Fraser Hill. And again, it also appeals to a very popular theme, cemeteries. Hello? Almost everyone and their grandma does a cemetery. I say almost, because some of y'all are weird, but this would be a really good animatronic to return. It would also be a good way for people to put away their original one, because I know, again, there are diehard collectors out there, so they can further preserve their original one and have a newer model instead. So they get the joy of having, you know, a Morning Glory, but don't have to worry about wearing her down. So let's get into our honorable mentions. Again, I have 3 here. Our first one was actually never released, but his audio has been used quite a bit. Yes, we are talking about Jacked Up Jester. That swinging, funny little Jester from the Halloween Asylum video. I believe this was showcased at the J. Marcus booth, if I'm correct. I really don't 100% know whose booth that was, but I'm guessing J. Marcus because, you know, there's like other Tekky items there, and I think there was Jimmy items present as well, which to me, you know, screams very J. Marcus. So this is basically like the Rocking Vampire, except in clown form, and I think, you know, has like one of the coolest designs. I honestly think that if you were to ask Tekky, hey, could you bring this back, they would jump on it and be like, absolutely yes. Again, the audio, we've heard the audio technically three times with, actually no, we've heard it several times. Bonkers used a clip of it. Puddin used a clip of it. Both Terror Clowns used almost all of it. And then the new Thrashing Clown that came out through Fraser Hill also used most of it as well. So, you know, it would be very easy to bring it back and leave it in its, you know, true form. I would be very happy to see Jacked Up Jester make a return. Our next one is another very popular animatronic, and this one is fairly old. Coat Rack Monster. So I honestly think Coat Rack Monster was one of Tekky's best jump scare characters because of the overall concept and the execution. So Coat Rack Monster, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory is what it is. I mean, it's a coat rack, you know, it looks pretty standard, pretty generic, you know, like a normal, I don't want to say it looks like a normal coat rack, right? And then upon activation, the head that's hidden behind this black, like, fedora, and the arms pop up really fast to give you a really good scare. That's an awesome animatronic. The issue is it was faulty, and the face was latex. So a lot of them you see now are dry rotted and are in terrible condition. So I really think that this would be a great way to reintroduce this character to like a modern fan base too, and to haunters that, you know, are now like really trying to step up their game. I also think it's a good way to bring him back and significantly upgrade his quality, especially that face, because again, that was latex. They could cast it vinyl. Tekky does a lot of vinyl now, which, you know, great. The mech breaks and gets stuck a lot, so I think they could definitely do something better with the mech. really wouldn't be mad if they changed him up a little bit visually and added some cool, like, new details, different coats, different hats, whatever, or even a new face. I wouldn't really care about that, but I do think whoa, I had like a stroke. I do think Coat Rack Monster is an animatronic that still lives up to today's standards and is an animatronic that could absolutely scare the pants off of people. It looks so inconspicuous you really wouldn't know it's an animatronic, which is what makes it so great, and it is what made it, age so well. So our next animatronic here is a modern fella, only I think he's about 2-3 years old, which is the Exterminator. So unfortunately, he was officially discontinued from Party City unless they suddenly decide to pick him up next year. I don't see that happening. The Exterminator is a really cool character. For one, his original concept with the MIT attachment, I do think Tekky could go back and reintroduce that to Fraser Hill, and Fraser Hill would absolutely pick that up. Even as a standalone prop, I do think Fraser Hill should pick him up. I think he's a really interesting character. He is highly favored amongst haunters alike. I don't know if they would change the audio. It's really hard determining what would change because, we had, what's his face? Thrashing Clown's audio changed, but I don't think they would need to change his audio at all. It would also be kind of a cool, like, different item for Fraser Hill to pick up, where they kind of have like a style that they like, and I think Exterminator would kind of break that mold and just be really cool. And again, like, if they were to reintroduce this character with the MIT attachment, with the zombie that he was going to be burning, I honestly do think that this would be an exceptional seller. We have not seen the MIT characters make a return in so long. We got really close with Thrashing Clown, but they forgot about the TNT box. So with Exterminator, I do really think that I honestly think they have that zombie somewhere in the Tekky showroom. I really do. I almost guarantee that zombie's sitting around somewhere. But I do think that they should not only bring in Exterminator, but also add the zombie as well. So it is a little different, but it's still the same, and it absolutely appeals to so many more people. So in our number 1 spot, this is my personal favorite. It's probably one of your favorites. It is highly favored amongst the community, and he never got a fair fighting chance at Spirit. We're talking about the Boogeyman. The Boogeyman is just, it's classic Tekky. Not only is it like classic Tekky with the weird, crazy, wacky, out there design and the crazy animation, it's also one of the coolest visually animatronics that Tekky has ever introduced to us. He is so unique with his warped flesh that's being held back by stitches in the back of his head, his exaggerated arms, the tattered old suit, the audio, the thrashing head, the light up hands. It's a really bizarre character. Now, when we first saw him at Spirit Halloween, he was overpriced, and it did definitely kill him a bit. And when Spirit had to mark him down, that was basically, a waving Wally situation where he became highly popular. He sold really well, but Spirit, was pouting in the corner, like, we're not going to bring him back because he didn't sell how much we wanted him to, which is dumb. I do know Boogeyman has his issues. I know his head can't stop working, and I know the motor is really loud. Nowadays, I do honestly think Tekky could bring him back, silence the mechanism a little more, and absolutely up the quality. And again, I know he was on a wooden base. Toss the wooden base, put him on a, like a wire metal base, so it's easier to, stake down. It doesn't literally rot. I would be so happy to see Boogeyman. Boogeyman is my favorite, honestly, my favorite Tekky animatronic, and I do honestly think that he could return realistically, with Fraser Hill wanting to bring back some favored Spirit characters. This is one. This is one of the most legendary Spirit animatronics that exist still to this day. And again, is one that absolutely holds up to this day. I don't really know how the general public would feel about it, because I'm gonna be real, sometimes the general public just does not know what they want. We saw it with Cold Hate. Cold Hate was an incredible animatronic, and the general public was like, what is this supposed to be? I don't understand, which was dumb. But I do think Boogeyman is just creepy enough where he would realistically sell. If he didn't, I'm gonna be real, general public, y'all suck. Because I know Spirit fans would be super happy. I would be elated to get my hands on this character, especially with quality upgrades. I know there's a lot of resellers out there that'd be kicking and screaming and, you know, swearing if he returned, and some of these others, but at the end of the day, no one really gives a shit. These need like their quality upgrades. So yeah, that's really it with these characters. Again, there are some more so than others that I do realistically see returning next season, or even seasons after that, if Fraser Hill continues to stay on track with what they're doing and finding a really unique way to compete with some of the titans like Spirit, Party City, Home Depot, maybe even eventually Lowe's, because Lowe's did just start carrying a lot more Tekky items as well. So anyway, if you also have, you know, some ideas of what they might pick up next year, totally leave a comment down below. I am really interested to hear everyone else's, you know, theories. This is the really fun part about, you know, postseason, is now we get to sit here and theorize about what we're gonna see from who, what we want to see from who, and now with Fraser Hill, what we want to return. Especially with Tekky, because now that Tekky's in the mix, there's really no year stipulation. We've seen 2010 to 2019 animatronics return, which is really exciting. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, comment, while you're at it, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.